one of the key things that we need to figure out is, okay, how do we actually, write some code and execute that code? And then we're going to get into some of the concepts, the fundamental concepts. In order for us to do that, we have to create a class. And one thing to note is in Java, everything that you write has to be in a class. So any code that you want the computer to be able to do or to execute in the Java language has to be in a class. Later on, we're going to break down what a class is and the importance of that. But just right now, just know that you can think of a file name in Java as a class. So we're going to create one called first code. And then in BlueJ, you just double click to open it. One thing about BlueJ that I don't like, and if I figure out how to fix it, I will fix it, is it actually gives you all this default code, which can be helpful. But for us beginners, we don't need this default code right now. So I'm going to wipe away all this code, and I'm going to be doing that for every file that we open up. Okay. So, so in Java, the way you declare, you have a class. This is the format. You have public, then you have the word class, and then the name of the class, which you can think of as the name of the file. And then the formatting is you have to have a curly brace, open curly brace, and then a close curly brace. And then this is telling Java everything in these curly braces is what's the first code class. So that's how you think about what's happening here. And another thing about Java is Java requires something called a main method. So I'm going to write this out. What's going on here? Again, we just need to know the high level, and the details of this you'll figure out later on in your Java journey. It's not important for the fundamentals. Java always will be looking for this, and they call it a method. Looking for exactly this public static void main string, open bracket, close bracket, args. And the reason why it's looking for this is because the people who created Java, in order for you to execute your code, they defined it that it's going to look for this, and then it's going to go, and once it finds this, it's going to execute whatever is in here. And that's the process of running something in Java. You must follow this process. If you don't follow the process, you won't be able to execute your code. And so we're going to show how this, what it looks like. So again, I'm going to write some code here. You don't know have to understand it. We're going to talk about it later on. But there's a way for you to basically print out text, right? Tell the computer to print out some text. And this is how you do it. Printing. So we've provided this, which is what Java needs to figure out how to execute this code. And then what we did is in Java we figured out what it takes to print out some text, and this is how we do this. Now there's one thing. So once we have this code, in order for us to execute the code, there's another understanding about Java that we have to have. So Java works by first you write using the language in a text file. So that's what we've done here. We've followed the rule that Java requires that there has to be a main method somewhere in order for it to know what to execute and what to start executing. But then there's also a process in Java where it takes these files and it needs them to be converted into a special format. And then the creators of Java provided a tool for you to take these files and create it into that format that it needs, so that it can actually execute and execute the instructions. And this process is actually called compilation. So Compiling something is turning it from the state where we wrote the code, and it turns it into a state that the language can use to execute what we wrote. I'm trying to keep it at a high level here. So what BlueJ has done is, you can see this button compile. So BlueJ has provided us the capability for us to finish what we're writing and then to compile it here. And it's using that tool that Java has given people to compile. If we weren't using BlueJ, we would actually write in a text file, and then we would use the tool to convert the file, or to compile the file. I might show how to do that without BlueJ, but you have understanding of what's going on behind the scenes now. So when every time we code, we're going to have to compile that file before we run it, or before we can execute it. And again, that's because of Java. Like, Java defined things to work that way. So we're going to compile this, and you're going to see no syntax errors. This is another important point. The syntax is essentially the rules of the language. So everything that we've done here is basically the syntax. Everything we've done is the syntax of Java. Every language has its own rules and it has its own syntax. So you have to figure out the syntax of the language that you want to use and follow that syntax. There are times where we make mistakes and we might, type something incorrectly or do something incorrectly that doesn't follow the rules of the language. And that could result in a syntax error. And when that happens, we'll be notified whenever we try to compile it, because the programming language and the process for coding won't allow you to compile something that has syntax errors. So after we compile this, then we can run it, because it's now we've put it into a state where Java can execute that file. So we'll close this, and it is called first code. And in BlueJ, if you right click, you'll be presented with these options, and you can see that main method that we wrote. Again, BlueJ has provided us this capability to make it easy for us to do this, but we could do this without BlueJ. It would take more steps, but Java provides the ability for you to specify what file you want to execute. We're using BlueJ. So we're going to click this, and then we see this new pop-up. So what we're just going to hit OK. If you want to know what's going on here, it's essentially saying, so first code, so that was, if you remember, that was the name of our class, .main. And that's referencing the main method, so that public static void main that we wrote out. So it's found that that's the main method, and we said that in Java you need that main method in order to execute. So BlueJ understands this, and it's found the main method for us, and it's allowing us to execute. The curly brackets, they're blank for now. You'll figure out why those are blank for now, but they're blank for now. And if we hit OK, you can see printing our first text. So we told the computer what to do. We did it properly in Java. We fed it to the computer, and it did what we wanted it to do. So this is the process of coding. And so now we're going to be kind of going through this process. It's going to get more complex over time, or we're going to be able to do more things over time. But this is what we're going to be doing. If you were able to get through this, cheers, you wrote your first program.